Hello and welcome back to Gearhead Geeks. Ever been working on an older motorcycle and come across some screws where the heads are completely stripped out, the screws are locked in place, and you need to get those screws out? Well, hang with us and we're going to show you how to not only get those screws out, well, for the most part, and how to make them actually look good again. So hang with us and we'll get right to it. So one of the most important things when you're working on these old screws and you need to figure out what's going on with them is understanding what types of screws that they are. There's different sizes of screws, and I won't go into the whole deal of it, but basically you need to understand that most Japanese bikes have, for side cases, use a 6mm screw, but it uses a number 3 head. And they are basically, there's two different types of number 3s. There's the JIS, the Japan Industry Standard, and there's the standard Phillips. Then you have a number 2 screw, and these are usually 5mm, and they'll have different thread pitches on them, such as 0.7 or 0.75, but they have a number 2 head on it. Now, the way you can tell if it's a JIS is there's a little dot stamped into, and I don't know if you can see it, I'll try and point it out, but there's a little dot stamped into the head of the screw, and number 3s don't always have that. Number 2s will have it if it's that. One of the things to remember is that the JIS and the Phillips are very, very close. So if you're going to restore these things, the best thing you can do is, if you have a JIS bit, use it when we show you, but you can use a number 2 Phillips. And the good part is that if you use a number 2 or number 3 Phillips, whichever screw you're going to use, the JIS works very, very well in there. So you're doing yourself a favor by using the number 2 or 3 Phillips, whichever one you're going to be using, because both the number 2 and number 3 in JIS and in standard will work just great. So one of the things that is really, really helpful in getting old screws out are impact drivers. Here is an assortment of different ones that I have. Here's one that's got some different heads on it. There's a number 4, number 3, a number 2, and a flat head. And then this is the first one I ever bought when this is probably 50 years old. Here is a snap-on version of it. And here is one that I recommend that you have. It is not only a number 3 screwdriver, but it also has an impact function. And so that's really a cool thing to have. I'll show you how all of these things work, or at least, how these type work, and then this one also. So you're going to try and remove this case, and all of a sudden you realize that this screw right here is in super tight, and you've got the right size screwdriver. In this particular case, we're using a number 3 JIS, which is what this would normally have. You put it in, and no matter what you do, it just slips. There is no way that you're going to do that, to get that loose with this. You push and you're doing whatever, and it just doesn't work out well. So now the next thing you want to do is, well, how am I going to get it out of there? Well, why did it get like that in the first place? Well, let's just talk about that. Somebody decided in their life the most popular screwdriver in the world is a number 2 Phillips. And they just took their little old rusty, worn out number 2, which if you look here, you'll see that there's a rather large difference between the two. And this one's small and pointy. This one's got a much flatter head, and the tines are much, much heavier. So what they did is they went in and they tried to remove that screw with this, and they just stripped it out, and it just made a mess. And even if they did get it out, when they put it back in using the same screwdriver, they made a mess. So how are we going to deal with that? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. What we want to do here is we're going to reshape the head on this so that it returns to being a number 3 Phillips or number 3 JIS, whichever tip you have. Again, you can use a Phillips and it's just fine. There's a couple things that you can use to do that. One is a punch, okay? And just, you know, this is just a regular flat punch that you can use, and that will, you can use it to reform it. You could also just use an old extension. This is an old Craftsman extension. It's kind of beat up, and I'm not one for using the improper tools, but this one I probably got 8 different ones here, so I'll use this one as a punch also. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just take this old extension and we're going to get this head back to something that we can get out. So the first thing we want to do here is we're just going to take a hammer, and then I'm just going to take this guy and I'm just going to start beating on it. And what I'm doing here is I'm kind of reshaping the head. Now, what's happened before is when it got stripped, it didn't really lose a lot of metal. It just pushed the metal out into the wrong place. So what you want to do is push that metal back. And I've got the camera real close, and I'm sorry if I'm hitting it, but we'll just keep on going here. We're going to push that metal back. And if you can see, it's starting to, all the metal that was pushed out is all been pushed back in a little bit. And I'm going to keep on hitting it. It doesn't mean that all the metal's still there, but that's okay. We can still make this work. Okay, so now it's going back into shape. So in this case, we've got a number 3 Phillips, and the markings on it say P3. Hope you can see that. Let's see if I can get it out of the way. Anyway, it's a number 3 Phillips, and what we're going to do here is we are going to place it into our newly flattened out hole, and it's not really all that great at the moment. I'm going to back the camera out just a little bit so I'm not hitting it so much. Okay, and we still need to work it a little bit. I put this in, and it's still kind of loose. It really will grab on, but we want to do a better job. So grabbing our old extension, just keep on working it until it goes down. Now, I'm being kind of careful here because we're going to restore this guy to make him look good. Although it's looking much better at the moment. It's a little flat, but that's okay. Well, we can work it around. This screw is in pretty bad shape. So now our number 3 bit is not going in very well, and that's good. That's what we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to drive in our number 3 bit, and I can feel it going in. And as you can see now, it's really solid in there, which means that we're in good shape to remove this guy. And as you can see, the screw head is starting to look pretty normal again. It's still not great yet, but it's looking normal enough to where we can probably get it out. So, how are we going to do that? Well, there's 2 things we can use. And we can use our impact, and that's probably a little close for what you want to see. But these impact drivers allow you to either tighten or loosen. And we'll back things out here a little bit so you can see. And here's an old impact driver. Again, I bought it 50 years ago. But what you can do, and this has got a number 3 head on it at the moment, is if you want to loosen something, you can push it and it will turn, and now you're in the loosening position. And if you wanted to tighten something, you just take it, you push it in and turn, and you're in the tightening position. But as you can see, is as you push in on it, it twists. And when it twists, it allows you to, once you hit this, it will twist the screw out of, or just out. So here we go. Using this kind of impact, you hold on to it very solidly, and then you wrap it on the end. And one more time, and I'm going to take my fingers. This thing was extremely tight, and look, I'm able to move it with my fingers, and the screw is out. Okay, so let's demonstrate a different one. And this is the one I kind of recommend. This is the best way to deal with them. This type of impact, they're readily available. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them anywhere. And I'm going to tighten this guy back up. Okay, and he's back in, and we haven't hurt the head at all doing it with the proper size screw. But what we can do is use this guy. And this is a screwdriver, which is a number 3 JIS in this case, and it is an impact built into it. It is not as versatile as the other one. It only allows you to loosen screws, but you can at least use it like a regular impact. And this is a number 3 JIS, and we use the number 3 Phillips, and this thing fits great. There's no wiggle in there. There's no nothing. It just fits great. So here we go. We're going to do the same thing. Let me back up a little bit more. And here we go. We'll hit this guy. I can do that without hitting my hand. And we had impacted that on, and now it's loose. So here we go. This worked extremely well to do that job. We didn't hurt our screw at all, and the screw is out. So now, using the exact screw that we just removed, and the head's a little flat, but at least our Phillips is looking pretty good. So how do we go about making this a usable, good-looking screw again? Well, it's really not that hard. We've already flattened out the head a little bit, but it's still not quite good. So what we'll do here is, in the vise, I've got a nut with a flange on it, and you can use a regular nut, but I just like to use one with a flange because it's a little easier. Stick it in the vise, and now I can take that screw, and even when as ugly as it is, I'm going to screw that into the nut. And again, the thread on this is 6x10, just so you know. And we'll screw that down. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very, very small hammer. Now you can use a big hammer. No, it's no problem. It's just that this hammer that my most used hammer, which I've had for many, many years, is a little beat up on the end because it beats on everything. But I have this little guy here, which I use to tap on metal and things like that, and it's pretty flat and nice. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this head a little bit and just kind of get it shaped. And when I'm shaping it, I'm pushing the metal back in to its regular position. And that metal is moving because these heads are really, really soft, and it's really not a big issue to do, and I'm just barely tapping on it. And I'll get this guy pushed in, and I'm just kind of working around the edges and pushing it in. Okay, and that's all kind of worked in a little bit. It's now where I had flattened it out before, it's a little rounder, so it looks a little better. And you can just kind of work it. Now, we're going to go ahead with our number 3 Phillips, and we're going to take that and we're going to drive this guy in like we did before. And again, it's nice and solid in there. Okay, and we'll just work this a little more. And let me pull this out so you can see. The one thing that we really should do to make it look good is we need to clean up some of the metal in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just take some, we'll just take a little brake cleaner, and I'll go on ahead and spray that out, get it cleaned up, so at least it's a little cleaner in there. And if you really wanted to, you could go ahead and take a little wire brush or do something like that. So anyway, once that's done, we want to make it look good. So what we'll do is we'll take a drill, and all we got to do is run that down in there. And what I've got here is nothing more than a piece of 400 sandpaper. This one's kind of used, it's kind of ugly, it doesn't matter. But it's 400 is a good grit for this. And we're just going to go on ahead and start cleaning up the head of our screw. And 400's got just enough grit to be able to take out the marks that we put in there with our hammering and smooth things over. Okay, let me clean it one more time. Little brake cleaner. Wipe it off. And there you have it. A nicely reformed screw, which you could put back into the motorcycle and make it look fairly good. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it good enough? Yes. Will it hold on to a screw? I mean, will a screwdriver hold on to it? Oh, I would say so. Nice. This is our number 3 JIS. And if I don't have a number 3 Phillips with me right here, but the number 3 Phillips works just as well. And so if you wanted to do a number 2 screw, it's the same drill. You just use a number 2 head. The idea here is to understand the difference between a number 2 and a number 3. This is a number 2, and this is a number 3. They are very, very different. So let's just restore one of these from scratch. So this is, as you can see, a very, very chewed up. It's got lips on it. It's in terrible shape. So we'll go on ahead and we'll screw a nut onto it so that the vise doesn't beat things up too badly. Now my vise is got heavy jaws on it. So we take that, we put it in our vise. I'm going to move the camera in a little bit so you can see a little better. Here we go. We've got it clamped into our vise, and we're just going to take a nice light little hammer, and we're just going to work this guy down. And I'm just pushing away. With it in the vise, I have a little more control, and I don't have to use a punch or a chisel or anything to get at it. I can just work it this way. And already, what's happening is I can see that the screw is starting to come back into shape. It's not great yet, but it's starting to come back into shape. And I'm just gently working my way around. You take your time and you can do a good job. If you don't want to take your time, just go ahead and beat it up and use your number 3 back in it, and the screw will work. But again, we're trying to make these look good. So this little hammer's got a much better head on it, and we'll just kind of work it around. Okay, And then we'll take our number 3. We'll drive it in. And that's pretty good. It still needs a little bit of work. That screw is really in rough shape. Okay. We've now pushed all the metal back into where it belongs. And we put our new, we used our number 3 in there to get it pushed so it accepts the screwdriver properly. So we'll go back to our drill and do the same thing. Little 400 sandpaper, and away we go. And even after just a few seconds of that, our screw is looking really, really good again. Let me, we'll clean it up. Now this one could use a little more work, but it's presentable. It's not bad. It only took us a few seconds to do. It's still got some marks on it. It's still kind of twisted a little bit, but you could beat it down and do it better, or you know, just use it the way it is. It holds on to our screw really, really well. Our screwdriver holds on to it really, really well. It's there's no slack in it. It's in good shape. So that's how you can restore a stripped out head on a screw on the motorcycle and pull it off, make it, and even make it look good. So hopefully this is helpful to you, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time with our next trick or hack, whatever we're going to call this. Again, thanks for watching.